Hello and welcome to another episode of the Discover Your Asset Workshop. My name is Progress Ogbefu and I'll be your host for today. Thank you for joining us this week, as last week we had a wonderful event titled the ABRED event, Africa's Biggest Real Estate Discussion. And this week I'll be taking you on a beautiful journey as we talk about wealth creation. What exactly is true wealth? Have you ever sat down to think about that? Most people think it's all about the money, all about the kids, all about the luxury. But today, we'll be taking you on a journey as we enlighten you on what true wealth actually is. And also, how attainable is it? Is it very difficult? Is it very easy? Or is it simple? You know, there's a difference between easy and simple, right? So today, taking us on this journey is one of my able super mentor. He's somebody I admire a lot for his courage, his tenacity, his humility. His fun parts can be very fun as well, but also knows how to be very serious. He's a mentor to me, and I'm glad he'll be taking us on this beautiful journey today. So without much ado, please join me with a smiling ovation as we welcome Mr. Collins Wonsu.
Progress, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you here, sir. He's a very busy person. It actually took a while to drag him to this place today, and we're really privileged and honored to have you spare your time for us and to share your insights and of course your knowledge, your experience with us and of course the viewers for today's edition. So what are we talking about today? Wealth. That's a very interesting topic because a lot of us have different perspectives and opinions as to what wealth is all about. So Mr. Collins, what is the definition, or what would you say true wealth is?
Yeah, I'll say thank you once again. So let's get right to it. Wealth could be a lot of things. I don't want to get into the dictionary definition of wealth, but I want to get into the feeling we get when we think of wealth.
Okay.
One of the things that comes to mind often is money.
Absolutely.
Right? You said that
Absolutely.
earlier. So you think of a wealthy person, you're thinking of somebody who's wealthy, thinking of somebody who has nice houses, nice cars, is able to travel. And those, to a large extent, may be components of wealth, but they may not really be true wealth. I think for me as a person, I'd say true wealth is dependent on how you define your life as a whole. So what is my life going to look like? What is it supposed to look like? And when you define your life and design it around what it's supposed to look like, then you become wealthy. I say that because I've seen people with a lot of money who are still looking for fulfillment. Absolutely. So if they were able to attain that fulfillment and then I would say they attain true wealth. I've seen people with a lot of money as well who are not very healthy. And for them, wealth would be health in that instance. I've seen people who would want to have children and don't have children. So there are things that design that you could call wealth. But overall, this is my life. This is what I want it to look like. Okay. And I will be comfortable and happy with this outcome when I get there. That's really the essence of what wealth is.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. And now I have a question for you watching us from your home, your offices, or wherever you're watching us from. What is true wealth to you? Because as Mr. Collins just said, it is dependent on an individual. My definition of true wealth cannot be your definition of true wealth. So write on the comment section as you're watching what true wealth actually means to you. So thank you, Mr. Collins, for that wonderful insight. Now, talking about true wealth, how attainable is it for an individual to experience or get to that point of saying, okay, I have actually acquired true wealth?
I think it's attainable. I believe it is. The thing is, first of all, there are components to attaining anything. There are tools you need. Okay. And you often will have to start from the tools in your own toolbox. Now, money is a tool that could help you to gain wealth. Because money in itself, I don't see money as a result. I see money as a work tool, right? That you receive in exchange for something. So it's attainable. And let's go the common way, the regular, what would always look at in terms of wealth building, wealth creation. One is, what do you have that you can offer someone that the person will be happy with?
Okay.
Because so long as you can create value for another person, then you are already you're using what is in your toolbox to begin to create and generate wealth for yourself. Right? So we're talking money right now.
Yeah.
We're talking value. And I'll quickly say something about value. If I have need for training, for instance, and you say, okay, I'm going to give you training, but you want to be introduced to somebody, then there's an exchange of value.
Absolutely.
Most times it could be, I'll get training from you in exchange for money from me.
Yeah.
Right? But the money is just holding or representing a value that was placed on it. And it is the tool that is giving me access to the training.
Yes.
So we always have to continue to look at the tools in our kitty. Now, the tool in your own toolbox is the ability to give me the training that I require. So the first thing to building wealth is to check, what do I have in my hand? What value am I able to create?
So thank you very much, Mr. Collins, for that wonderful insight. Something stood out for me. He said something. He said you can start with what you have currently in your toolbox, which means you don't really have to start looking for something new now. Start with what you have. And that's a mentality that most people don't have, because they feel, oh, I want to get this, I need to get this first before I can get this. But now he's telling us how you can start with what you have currently in your toolbox. So before we go further, we have a gift that we'll be giving out to one very special person before the end of this event. And I'm going to be asking a question. It's a very powerful book. It says 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. So I'm going to be asking a question from what Mr. Collins will be telling us today. And if you want to win this beautiful book for yourself, because it's going to be couriered to you at no extra cost to you, trust me. So to get this book, I'll be asking a question for what Mr. Collins is going to be telling us. And the first person to get it right in the comment section gets this book couriered to him or her. So now is the right time for you to get your P-square on your table or wherever you're watching us from. And of course, your P-square stands for pen and paper. So now, Mr. Collins, you talked about starting from the tools you currently have in your toolbox. And that is a very interesting fact. So now let's talk about what it takes to actually build this lasting wealth we're talking about. What tools do we need to build this wealth we're talking about?
You know, there's this, it's possible to look at what we're saying and somebody will say, look, you're mad. All you motivational people, you have come again. You know, I was online and I saw this, there was a photograph with a caption. It was like they were pounding somebody, and the caption was that this is what happens to a motivational speaker after saying how he used feather to start poultry business. You know, and I laughed. I was like, oh my goodness. Then I thought about it. A feather poultry. And I actually Googled, what can you do with bird feathers?
Yeah.
You'll be amazed. So hold on a second. I found out that in the US alone, they're producing more than 90 million tons of bird feathers.
Wow.
That is being used currently for different things. In Nigeria, we are producing about 17,000 tons, right?
Yeah.
Of bird feathers being used for that, not really being used, but here's the potential of what you can do with bird feathers. Stuffing, you can decorate with it.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's decorational pillows are one of the luxury hotels usually used very decorational pillows, so it's expensive, right? Feather fans, accessories, ornaments, upholstery, insulation, meal. So I was thinking, you know, someone was saying bird feather and laughing and it was a joke, but actually there's something you can do with it. There's nothing that is a waste.
Sure.
Nothing at all is a waste. So one is, I'll call it the 4-step process. My children say it's IKUA. It's IKUA. They say IKUA. One is information. You need to have information, and information starts from knowing yourself. Okay, what do I have? What am I able to do? What do I think I can do? Even that useless thing, I know there was a time people say, Collins, you talk too much. Now I earn a living from talking, right? Okay, so somebody will say, you do the crack joke. Maybe that is what you need to do. Start cracking jokes and making your money.
Yeah.
So information, you need to get a lot of information. But information is not very useful until you do something to it. You turn it from, you form it, because it's now information. It needs to be formed. I'll give the example. Somebody tells you, oh, stock market, there's money being made in the stock market. There's money being made in the stock market. That's information. You can go around, tell the viewer and tell everybody in the audience, you can make money in the stock market. That's information. But it has to move from information, which is to knowledge. You really need to know. That means now you understand that stock market. You've taken that information. Yeah. You've done something with it. You've Googled. Like I saw the feathers. So the guy said he used feather to start his poultry multi-million poultry farm. And then I took the information and I said, well, what can I do with it? Absolutely. It wasn't just information. I checked and I actually saw that there's an industry that is even being created out of feathers. Yeah. Right? So now it becomes knowledge. Now the knowledge moves further to understanding. Now you've seen that this is no longer information, which is just something you're transmitting. It's no longer just knowledge. It's now you understand it. There's a process to understanding anything, even about yourself, even about the business. Yeah. Someone would think that it's easy to be a comedian. No, it's a whole business, it's a whole industry. You have to understand how it works. Cracking jokes, sourcing the jokes, getting your material, cleaning it up, checking the audience you're going to serve with the jokes. It's something. Knowing what to do with which feather or what kind of feather, whether it's feather from broilers, different from the one from layers and old layers. So that's now knowledge. And that knowledge now takes you to understanding. So you've done knowledge, it takes you to understanding. So you now understand how to apply it. Which brings us to A. So we've gone from information, knowledge, understanding to A, application. You must apply it. That's the bridge, application. Most people stop at information. You're watching and you're listening and you're saying, oh, we've heard all of this. What would you do with what you're getting? Are you going to now go check, okay, fine, I think I'm able to do A, B, C, D, E. And then I can now start working with it. And I can now move myself from where I am to knowledge, to understanding, and then application, which makes it equal. So until we get to the point of applying whatever little information, knowledge, understanding that we have, then you cannot build wealth. Now, there's another part that I would like to just throw out there, is growth. You must continue to grow. The minute you stop growing, you die. It just ends there, right? You must continue to grow. And someone will say, oh, I never chop finish. Sweetie, they tell me, I've not, for you listening from outside Nigeria, it's pidgin to say, I've not eaten, I'm still hungry and you're telling me about growth. Yes, I'll talk about that if she gives me the opportunity in a little while. I asked her to get me something and I'll talk about growth and why it's important for you to continue to grow if you want to build lasting wealth, if you want to build generational wealth. Growth is a part of the process. Right?
Thank you very much. Growth. I actually love hearing that word growth. I can't stop hearing it. And that's because there's this quote by one of my favorite mentors. It said, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. Which means at that point you stop growing, you're already declining. You can't remain neutral. It's that you're up or you're down. There's no neutral ground. So now, talking about growth, there's this misconception as regarding growth, or let me use the word consistency, because with this equal model, which is the information, knowledge, understanding, and application, people feel, okay, application, you keep applying the same thing over and over again and you're expecting a different result. Say for example, I do something at level 1 today and I do it again tomorrow at level 1, and I do it next tomorrow level 1, every time level 1. But somebody else is going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. But we are all doing the same thing, right? So at what point do you understand the fact that in as much as you need to be consistent in what you're doing, you also need to keep advancing with your approach towards whatever it is you're doing.
But I think that's what growth is, and that's what we spoke about growth,
Yes.
right? For you to understand growth, or for you to continue to expand, would be, it first takes you back to, why are you doing what you're doing?
Okay.
It's important for us to take certain decisions early and then manage those decisions all through our lives. Now, if my job is to do strategy, and I'm not going to stop doing strategy, because for me, it's a bridge. I'm providing people a bridge from getting to where am I today and where do I need to be. So how can you get there? That's the bridge, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I provide.
Yeah.
The thing is, my growth will now be, the tools change. If yesterday it had to be physical meetings, today it's no longer physical meetings.
Absolutely.
There are other things that have changed.
Yeah.
If so there are means of doing it. If I had to travel a lot, maybe now I don't need to travel as much.
Yeah.
So the tools available to me change. Am I adapting myself to continue to serve my audience with the tools that they need? That's what you need to check. So it's not a question of, this person now has 15 stores, I still have one store. Some people will never have more than 2 stores. Some people are never going to have more than 1 shop. My father had 1 store, and that's what raised us and took care of us, and that was just enough to take care of us, and it was fine, right? His friend had he had branches in different states,
Okay.
and that was great for them, but doesn't change. It brings me to this. There's something that happens, right? When one of the things we talk about growth is seed. So what your seed versus your fruit. What often happens is we end up eating our seed. Now this corn cob, it's tempting, it's really nice. I can consume everything. But if I just took a few seeds and planted them, what would happen is I'd have more. There's no way these 3 will give me 3 back. It will give me this and more. Now, the problem is that for someone who is hungry, you look at this and say, I don't have enough. I need to eat.
Yeah.
This is not enough to feed me. And you don't take out even a little that you will plant. Because if you do plant it, what happens is that you get more. You get a bag. And if you repeat that process, now you planted 3 seedlings. You have more than 1 corn cob. You've gotten a bag. You plant more. But there's also that temptation at that level to eat everything that you have. And that's usually what happens. We think, okay, if I get this, then I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
You would never get this, because even when you get it, there's still another place to move to. There's still another place to move to. So we have to learn to differentiate between our seed and the fruit. And you said something quite interesting about fruit. Why do trees shed? A mango tree, when the fruit is ripe, it sheds it.
Yeah.
So that it will leave room for new growth. You can't keep holding on to yesterday's success.
Yes.
Because it anchors you down from moving forward. You can't keep holding down to yesterday's methods. It anchors you down from moving forward. We hosted Dan Cathy, who's the CEO of Chick-fil-A, at an event, Live to Lead, a simulcast. And he said something quite interesting. He said, you have to learn to marry the mission, but date the methods. Marry the mission, but date the methods. So, in other words, you don't get stuck on how you're going to do it. You get stuck on, this is what we need to get done. And then begin to improve how you get those things done. So never forget your seed from your fruit. Don't eat your seed. Don't eat your seed. Stay focused.
Wow. So now I would like to throw this question to the viewers back home. How sure are you that you're able to differentiate your seeds from your fruits? Because it becomes a problem when you're still eating your seeds as your fruits. So you need to sit down, do some reflective thinking, plan out a strategy that will help you separate your seeds from your fruits. And while we were discussing, we talked about adaptability. So now I would like us to throw more light on adaptability, because at this point in the world right now, we're going through change that none of us planned for. And some people are able to maximize it, while some are being crushed with this change. Say, for example, a lot of us had financial goals starting this year. And we planned every February, March, April, May, and all that, unknown that there's going to be COVID-19, which have changed the process of everything we do right now. So now, with this COVID-19 as an abrupt change that have been initiated into our goals, most people are not being able to do what they wanted to do, get to where they wanted to get. And as my CEO will always say, your time is your life. Once spent can never be recovered. And for that reason, nobody has got the right to wasting your time. So for joining us this session of Discover Your Assets workshop, I would like us to take home some activities, some measures that we can start putting in place today to actually get back on our feet as regarding our financial goals, and of course attaining this true wealth we're currently considering. But at the same time, I would want you to take a look at this exquisite, innovative piece. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I trust you enjoyed the video you just watched. So I'm going to be exposing you to 4 different packages as to how you can acquire this luxurious 4-bedroom terrace duplex apartment with a private swimming pool at the rooftop, a BQ attached to your own apartment. So the first package is what we call the Big League package. This is a 50 million naira package of one-time payment, as it is an outright purchase. So you make a financial commitment of 50 million naira, and in 8 months, you get your luxurious apartment delivered to you. But guess what? Your 50 million naira is backed by a 20% performance bond. This is as a guarantee that your money, of course, is safe with us. Then the second package is what we call the Elite VVIP package. This is where you simply make up in numbers what you don't want to spend in cash or what you lack to spend in cash. So the Elite VVIP package is a payment of 13 million naira. So you pay 13 million naira and you recommend 4 people, and voila, you qualify for your 4-bedroom luxury duplex apartment. And guess what? For each recommendation you make, you get a 5% bonus to yourself. Isn't that wonderful? And there's no time frame. You can do this in a day, in a month, or in a year. So the third package is what we call the VVIP package. This is one of my favorite packages because with as low as 3 million naira, 3 million naira, you get yourself a luxury duplex apartment in the heart of town. So you pay 3 million naira, you recommend 4 people, and you get 5% commission on each of these recommendations, giving you a sum of 600,000 naira. Your 4 recommends 4 and it ends there. Once your 4 recommends 4, you get a leadership bonus of 3 million naira. That is, you've broken even. You've gotten your capital back and you're in profits of 600,000 naira. And the last but not the least package is what we call the VVIP package. This is where you recommend 3 people. You recommend 3, you get 10% on each recommendation, giving you a total sum of 450,000 naira. Your 3 recommend 3 on your second generation, making it 9, and you get back your 1.5. Wait, no. At this point, you've gotten 450, you've gotten back your 1.5, but you've not gotten your apartment. So your 9 recommendations recommend their 3 each, making 27, and voila, you qualify for a 4-bedroom terrace duplex apartment. Isn't that beautiful? So now, bringing us back to adaptability. Mr. Collins, take us further on this word, adaptability.
I think I'll just say your mission is clear. You want to be wealthy.
Yeah.
And it's beyond you just wanting to be wealthy in terms of making money. You have a goal. You want to be able to take care of your family, give them the nice things, send them to nice schools, have a vacation when you need to. So that goal doesn't change. It's just that something has happened. I would first plead with you to sit back and think, what has changed? And you go back to the foundation. What do I have in my hands? So certain things have changed. Remember, I said the tools for delivering your main message, your main goal, your main service, the main value that you carry may have changed. Right now, I'm adapting. I'm doing more virtual meetings, virtual consultations. So what has changed for you and what is available to you? At the International Trade Facilitation Association, for instance, where I'm trade ambassador, we're teaming up with another organization, Trade Me Links, to provide e-commerce to our members. Because we weren't really huge on e-commerce. We do trade missions. So let's go to another country, let's meet other people, let's go for trade shows, let's organize trade shows. But now the e-commerce platform is live and we're promoting that. So you need to think, what is my goal? What are the tools that are available to me right now that I can use to still push that goal? I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying that it's just going to be a walk in the park, but it's something you need to do. And when I say sit back and think, a lot of people are right now worrying. If you're listening to me, I'd like to encourage you to shift. There's a difference between worrying about your situation and thinking about your situation. They're 2 different things. Worrying is there's COVID, things have changed, people don't have money, but no. Thinking is, COVID has come, patterns have changed. Buying power may have been reduced, but people are now going online. So thinking and worrying are not the same thing. Thinking empowers you, worry takes away power from you. So I encourage whoever is going to adapt to first of all think. Then it'll bring me to something that we really don't talk about. You can actually create wealth with nothing. In the real sense, there's nothing like nothing. There's always something.
Yeah.
In my language, you say "ibosa here," for instance, is a term that is very familiar with people in the marketplace. Ibosa here literally would mean running around the marketplace as an errand boy.
Yeah.
This is the time to stay close to your market, stay close to your people, stay close to the source. The guys who do Ibosa here, here's what they do. They have gone around the market. They know who's selling corn, who's selling beans, who's selling what. They know who's selling everything. So when you enter the first store, they're probably there. And the person is selling beans. And you say you want Gary. They say, Madam, we get him for sure. He's not a part of that business. He goes to the person who is selling Gary.
Yeah.
Buys the Gary for you. They know and they trust him. He'll bring it to you with a little margin and sell to you. You're sitting down. Oh, I want Maggie. Oh, they are our shop. Let me get it from packing store. And he will hurry up to the next person who is selling Maggie. Please, can you give me Maggie? And top something. That's even the principle behind brokerage, how brokers work. Yeah. So it's about being, and how do they succeed? They succeed by being close to the market, being close to the people, understanding the needs of the clients, and understanding what is available, the tools that are available to them. And then they do what you do at Lifestyle Hub. They leverage. So until we have removed worry, replaced it with thought, looked at the tools and leveraged those tools. And those tools may just be the next person you know. You just talked about a package where if I know 4 people and I introduce them to this, then those 4 would do the same investment. That's collaboration. I've told you about ITFA. Yeah. We're collaborating with someone. That's collaboration. That's leverage. That's network. You know, there's also a saying in my place is as old as time. Say, "Onyinwe madoko, onyinwe go." And I love that expression. The person who has somebody is richer than the person that has money.
Yeah.
I know the good books also say that there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. So those are the things that you begin to look at and leverage. I'm not saying there's one size fits all. For you, it may be different, but it remains, look at the tools in your toolbox. Take time to think, not to worry, and you begin to see the amazing opportunities that are out there even in this time. And I'll end this adaptability thought with this. Science tells us that matter cannot be created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
So I'll say to you, money cannot be created nor destroyed. What happens is that somebody is losing money, somebody is gaining money. You'd better be the person who's gaining the money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's the point of advantage.
Yeah.
That's the point of advantage. So we've talked about separating your seeds from your fruits. We've talked about constructive thinking, not destructive thinking, and that helps you to adapt more. And majorly, we've talked about using the tools currently in your toolbox. So now this is the point where you have to do a reflective thinking to understand, okay, what do I have in my toolbox? Who do I have in my toolbox? Where do I have in my toolbox? It can be anything. An ability to leverage on what you have now is what's going to take you from point A to point B. But don't forget, the first thing you have to do is to understand what true wealth actually means to you. That's the only way you can know where you're heading to. Because as the popular saying goes, if you don't have a destination, then everywhere leads to the destination. But you have to know where exactly you're going to. So at this point, I would like to read out the question for this week, which will help us give this book to the lucky winner of this week's Discover Your Assets webinar. And as we said, information is important, but application gives you the results. So now, we talked about thinking, and then we got into constructive and destructive kind of thinking. So now you have to fill in the gaps. Worry does dash, and thinking does dash. Put your answer in the comment section, and the first person goes home with this lucky book. I'll be back to tell you the winner of this book in today's edition. While I wait your answer to that question and get the winner for this lovely book, are you worried that the packages I just mentioned might not be suitable to your budget? Take a look at this. I'm sure you liked what you just saw. That's a masterpiece from Lifestyle Asset Hub Limited. It's a 3-bedroom apartment with a maid room attached and a serviced rooftop swimming pool and a rooftop sit-out. Isn't that beautiful? But guess what? If you don't have 1.5 or 3 million or 13 million or 50 million, as I mentioned earlier, this is the Solid Refuge. And Solid Refuge community, we also have 4 packages that you can leverage on to owning this beautiful masterpiece for yourself. So the first package is what we call the Big Haven, and with 35 million naira you can own this beautiful masterpiece for yourself and your family. So you pay 35 million naira, and mind you, this is also covered with a corporate performance bond of 20%, and that means your money is of course safe. So the second package is what we call the Haven 3.0, where you get to make a payment of 7.5 million naira. So you make a payment of 7.5 million naira, and you have to recommend 4 individuals that also want to get the same beautiful masterpiece for themselves, but they're like, why spend 35 million when I can spend 7.5 million naira? So you pay 7.5 million naira, you recommend 4 people, and you qualify for this beautiful masterpiece. So this third package is what we call the Haven 2.0. This Haven 2.0, you get to make a payment of 1.8 million naira. So you make a payment of 1.8 million naira, you recommend 4 people. When you recommend 4 people, you get 5% commission on each of these recommendations. And once you're done with that, your 4 people get to also recommend their 4 each. And voila, you get back your initial payment, and of course, you qualify for this beautiful masterpiece as well. So the last but not the least package is the Haven 1.0. The Haven 1.0 is a one-time payment of 900,000 naira. Yes, you heard me right. 900,000 naira. So with 900,000 naira, you recommend 3 people, where you get 5% commission on each of these recommendations. And your 3 people get to also recommend their 3 each, which is 9. And then you get back your initial payment of 900,000 naira. So now you've gotten your money back and you're already in profit, but you've still not gotten your apartment. So your 9 people also get to recommend their 3 each, which is the 3rd generation, and voila, you qualify for our beautiful masterpiece. So now you have lots of packages to choose from, but depending on your budget and your needs, and of course, you'll be able to provide good and affordable housing for your family. So now, Mr. Collins, we were talking about starting with what you have, starting with what is currently in your toolbox. And I want our viewers today to go home with some actionable plans that they can start putting in place now to drive them closer to these inner worlds we all desire. So you talked, as we were discussing off the camera, you said something about starting with as little as no capital or even with 10,000 naira. Please drop more light on that. I'm interested.
Yes, it doesn't mean you will not work. Okay. There is work involved. Okay. I mean, from day one, there's work involved, but the kind of work you do is smart work. How about, I gave the example of Ibosa here. And simply put, you probably have heard stories and stories of people who have worked and learned, a trade, and they were meant to be settled by the Oga, yes, but Oga never settled them. But somehow they're doing well. What does that tell you? That the knowledge they got, which they applied, is greater than the cash. Yeah. So one of the capitals you need is intellectual property, is some form of intellectual knowledge. Yeah. Now I'll say, go find any market that is close to you. Go there and learn how to do it. Is it corn? How are they selling it? Is it melon? How are they doing it? Is it wholesale business? Find out how they're doing it. How do they buy? Where do they buy from? What is the market about? You'd have to invest time in learning. And even if it means serving the people, you're carrying load, you're the one loading and offloading, and you're learning, no problem. You'll be earning something while you're learning. What that does is that it gives you the opportunity to sell that knowledge in different ways. Yeah. So if I know where I can get a pack of corn, fine collected corn packaged for X naira, and people are selling online, I can take a photograph of it with my phone. Absolutely. Put it out there and say, who wants to buy a bag of corn? So it's 10,000 in the market. I've negotiated. I said, okay, I have people who want to buy corn. Yes. How much will you give me? The man says, I'll do 10,000. Remember that you have studied the market. You come back to your WhatsApp group. You at least have 50 people on your WhatsApp group, I'm sure. And you send it out. Who is interested? Bag of corn, you can share. Bag of corn going for 15,000 naira. Delivery inclusive. Within Abuja, within Lagos, within whatever your locality is, for instance. You drive it home. You advertise it morning, afternoon, evening. By so time, this offer will no longer be there. Because remember, the other guy is not waiting for you. He will sell. So the responses you get, the people pay. And you go and buy. Now that brings a critical aspect that you must have. Trust. If they can't trust you, you can't do it. We had a story of Dangote. Say, oh, Dangote, his uncle gave him money, and then that's how the loan he got, and he used it to build his empire. Don't you have relatives who, if they ask you for even 10,000 naira, you won't give them? Because you can't trust them. They're not doing anything. They're not going anywhere. But if people have consistently seen that you're doing something, you're trustworthy, you're going somewhere, then it's easier for them to pay you. So that's one element. You must be trustworthy. Next, you have to go close to the market that you're interested in. And you can see it'll take you some time. It'll take some effort, but you start building. Now, as you start building, even when you've made that money, remember, it is not your fruit. It is still seed. So you have to take out some to sustain yourself, and take out some that you'll reinvest in the business. And that's how you grow it. That's the 8th wonder of the world, compound interest. So as it compounds, it grows. As it compounds, it grows. So as you take, you sow back, you get more, you take, you sow back. And that's one way of starting without having any cash at all. And if you want more tips, you have to pay, and then I'll tell you how.
I'll meet you behind the camera. That'll be next episode. So thank you very much for the tips you've given us today. And just a quick recap from all the things Mr. Collins have been saying so far. First, we talked about the equal model, the information, the knowledge, the understanding, and of course, the application. Then we talked about adaptability and delayed gratification. Delayed gratification, compound interest. And of course, emphasis was laid on the fact that it has to be deliberate efforts. It's not going to be easy, it's not going to be hard, but it is simple with constant application and repetition. So now, here is the answer to the question we asked earlier, which is worrying takes away your power and thinking gives you power, which means it empowers you. So whatever it is you're going through right now, whatever circumstance you found yourself in right now, whatever situation that is confronting you right now, don't worry. Think through it. Think for a solution. There's always a solution in here. Just think through it, leverage on the tools you have, and of course the people you have around you. So now the winner for this week's book, which is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, will of course be contacted by the Lifestyle Asset Hub team. So thank you very much for joining us on today's episode of Discover Your Asset Workshop. I trust you enjoyed it as I had a fabulous time. So thank you very much, Mr. Collins Wonsu, for obliging us and of course pouring out from your well of knowledge. I could see you were not holding back any at all. You're just pouring, and I was packing and packing. It's the money for me to go and plant my seed. You know, knowledge, of course, is a seed. It doesn't have to just be money. So thank you very much, Mr. Collins. We really appreciate you on behalf of Lifestyle Asset Hub and the entire team and board of directors. We look forward to seeing you soonest. I'm sure you look forward to seeing him soonest as well. But then you'll be coming back with your testimony. So thank you very much. I'm sure you're going back home with these bullets from today. Make sure to apply it, because as we said, the result is in the application. The fortune is in the application. So see you next time on another episode of the Discover Your Asset Workshop. I remain your host, Progress Obrefun. Bye for now.